Yes, is good. Oh, you weren't kidding. Can you hear us, Phil? I can't hear you. Oh, you're muted. Nope. Can you say something, Phil?
Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
Gotcha. Thank you.
Gotcha. All right, great. Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you all for indulging me here.
Thank you for zooming in. Appreciate you.
Sure.
Ready? 601. I'm waiting on. Do I need to wait for the? Ready? At this time, the mayor will call to order the regular city council meeting for 6 p.m. Tuesday, October the 10th of 2023 in the city council chambers, 201 East Nash Street in Terrell, Texas. I have with me on the dais District 2, Grady Simpson. District 3, Mayor Ronnie Velasquez, Mayor Pro Tem. We have District 4, Stephanie Holmes Thomas, Deputy Mayor Pro Tem. And we have District 5, Phil Robinson, joining us remotely. Now, before we begin our council meeting tonight, I wanted to take a moment with Israel at war. I wanted to take a moment to recognize the importance of some of the Jewish people as some of our earliest settlers of our city. Brothers Philip and Harris Brin, Polish immigrants who had come to America in the 1850s, settled in Terrell in 1873. The brothers were prominent businessmen and civic leaders who are credited with establishing the Brin store and the Brin Opera House. Philip later opened the First National Bank here in Terrell. Also, one of their descendants, Lucille Brin, married Donald Rosenwig in 1839. The Rosenwigs operated Don's Shoe Store in Terrell for more than 30 years. Lucille also carried on her family tradition of charitable work as a notable volunteer at Terrell State Hospital. Although there are no descendants of the Brin family in Terrell today, their contributions to our city are still evident. Not only are the bank and the Opera House still standing, the brothers' 1895 Victorian houses, which are located side by side, are still standing on the street that bears their name. Graves of these early Jewish families can be found at the Jewish cemeteries located within Oakland Memorial Park and Wildwood Cemetery on the grounds of Terrell State Hospital. In addition, the grave of Jeffrey M. Harris, a Jewish member of the British Royal Air Force who trained in Terrell and died at the age of 21, can be found in the section of Oakland Memorial Park that is dedicated to those pilots who lost their lives during World War II. And as we begin to celebrate Kaufman County's 175th year, it's of note that our county was named for David Kaufman, a Jew and early Texas congressman. So please join me in a moment of silence as we pray for the people of Israel and those in that war. Thank you. This time we're going to have our invocation. We will have, again, as I stated, the county celebrating 175 years of celebration. They are meeting in Kaufman at our county seat. I was invited to attend. I couldn't attend, so I thought if I can't go to Kaufman, I'm going to bring Kaufman to Terrell. And for Pablo Juarez, who is First Baptist Kaufman pastor, would you please come forward? He's going to lead us in invocation tonight. If you'll please come to the dais. If everyone would remain standing for flags.
Father, thank you for today. Today we proclaim that you are our Father, the Father of all nations, all people, all cultures, language. You are a Father of diversity. You're a Father of everyone and each one who wants to call you Father. Thank you, Lord, for your presence in this place, for every one of your children that leads this city. Thank you for every one of them, and from every one of the citizens of this city. Thank you, Lord, for your protection and your guidance. Estamos muy agradecidos porque has sido bueno con nosotros, Señor, y tu bondad nunca se acaba. Se derrama cada día más y más sobre nuestras vidas. Por esa razón, Señor, el día de hoy we say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for helping us to be in this council meeting and for the proclamation of the Hispanic heritage. Thank you, Lord, for the great Hispanic culture and the way that you have enriched our country with so many cultures. Thank you, Jesus. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. So next on the mayor and council community recognition and events, we had someone who passed away locally in the city of Terrell who was very dear to our community, one of the first black police officers that serve this community, and for that we want to say thank you. And from the mayor and the council, we say thank you. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Grady Simpson to do the recognition, and then we would like to get a photo with the family and the council if that's possible. So, Grady?
Yes, Mayor. Just want to say a special thank you to the Gabbard family for coming out. I know we was there at the funeral Saturday, and we recognized your father, grandfather, and just wanted another chance to have a public recognition here at the City Council meeting. And I'm so happy to see the family here. And I will be reading the proclamation for the City of Terrell. It says, whereas Darnell Gabbard was born May 4th, 1931 in Bells, Texas, to the parentage of Obed and Effie Gabbard, and whereas he grew up in Terrell and graduated from Burnett High School and attended Prairie A&M University. And whereas Darnell enlisted in the U.S. Navy and served during the Korean War. And whereas Darnell loved to play football and baseball, excelling in both. And whereas after leaving the Navy, he became a member of the Terrell Blue Sox Semi-Pro Negro League. And whereas Darnell worked for the city of Terrell as one of the first black police officers. And whereas upon leaving the police department, he worked as manager at Sanger Harris and later worked as a supervisor at Terrell State Hospital until his retirement. And whereas Darnell married his first wife, Bobby Frazier, in Terrell, and to the union they were blessed with one child. And whereas he later married his second wife, Minnie Pearl Fry Gabbard, who preceded him in death in 2004. And whereas he survived by daughters, Vicki Greg Huckabee of McKinney, Texas, Barbara Thomas Huckabee of Rowlett, and Yolanda Cobb Gabbard of Terrell, and sons, Bernard Winfield Sr., Galen Cobb Sr., Marcella, both of Terrell. And whereas he was survived by 14 grandchildren, 12 great-grandchildren, and 1 great-great-grandchild. And now, therefore, Rick Kimona and the City Council of Terrell, by virtue vested in the mayor and on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim October 7th, which was Saturday, 2023, as Darnell Gabbert Day.
Is there anyone from the family who would like to speak? Is there anyone who would like to say a few words? Yes, if you would please come forward. I hate to put you on the spot. I'm sorry. Someone should have told you this. Grady, if you're upset with somebody. If you're okay with it, this is the mayor's idea for you to be here. So.
No problem. Thank you, Mayor and Council. And on behalf of my family, we really want to thank you for recognizing my grandfather as one of the first Black police officers of Terrell. I think it really speaks to even the history you've spoken about Terrell and how many different cultures and people who have contributed to this great city. And I think that the council is very reflective of that. And I just thank you all for your continuous efforts and recognition today. And thank you, Councilman Simpson, for your efforts as well. So,
wonderful. Thank you. If the family would come forward, Council, would you mind taking a photo?
Come on up. Sorry, but he left a big legacy behind. Yes, come on up.
Q, you coming up?
I don't think I can do WT, but we'll see. Here, kids, get ready. Good? How many kids? So how many generations do we have here? Kids, great-kids, and
Great-grand.
great-kids?
Yeah, great-grand.
Thank you all so much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. You bet.
All right, but thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Yes. She was easy, yeah. And also, this is Hispanic Heritage Month. Earlier today, Council, I was at the TISD celebration. They had a Hispanic program, and it was wonderful to see all the kids. They had middle schoolers who were doing the folkloric dance, and the high school was there. So to all of the students who participated, all of the faculty who was there overseeing, Dr. Georgianne Warnock, and those board members from the TISD who were there and present, we want to say thank you from the mayor and the council for their efforts in recognizing our Hispanic community. I also have a proclamation. It's from the Office of the Mayor of the City of Terrell. And it reads, whereas Representative Edward R. Roble of Los Angeles sponsored legislation to set aside a commemorative week to recognize the contributions and influence of Hispanic Americans to the history, culture, economy, and achievements of the United States. And whereas President Lyndon Johnson signed the legislation into law in 1986. And whereas 1988, the commemorative week was expanded to a month through legislation sponsored by Representative Esteban Edward Torres, amended by Senator Paul Simon, and signed into law by President Ronald Reagan. And whereas National Hispanic Heritage Month was first proclaimed by President George H.W. Bush on September the 14th of 1989, and whereas the United States government continues to celebrate the countless contributions of more than 62 million Hispanic Americans who make up the largest minority group in the United States. And whereas Hispanics also make up a significant percentage of our local workforce, serving in various businesses and industries, including education, nonprofits, municipal government, and healthcare, just to name a few. And whereas this proclamation whereas this population serves in our military and law enforcement, comprising half of our Border Patrol agents and working in careers that are critical to the defense of our communities. And whereas the Kaufman County Hispanic Council was created in 2021 for the purpose of uniting the Kaufman County Hispanic community through the creation of the programs and outreach opportunities. Now therefore, I, Rick Carmona, by the virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor and on behalf of the Terrell City Council, do hereby proclaim September the 15th through October the 10th of 2023 as National Hispanic Heritage Month in the city of Terrell, and ask all citizens to join me in recognizing the continuing contributions of our Hispanic community members to the betterment of our city and beyond. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the corporate seal of the city of Terrell, Texas, to be affixed this, the 10th day of October of 2023. Is there anyone here from Mayor Ronnie?
And Mayor, before we step down to take a group photo, because I know we have Pablo, Diana, I know Myra and Dora are also here with us today. We would be glad to join us as well. I want to invite our community members that are present and listening online to stop by the library. The library has a display for Hispanic Heritage Month at this time. And at the beginning of November, we'll transition to Dia de los Muertos altar/display as well. I certainly would encourage all community members to reach out to the library and work with our library to highlight any books, displays, opportunities that highlight our diverse community. We've had the pleasure of working with our Black community and hosting a display in the past, and want to make sure that we do that again. Would certainly encourage, once again, our diverse community to work with our library.
Okay, so, and we also have with us Diana Roman, who's obviously very busy in Kaufman County and in our city of Terrell, helping with the Hispanic community. So if you would please come forward, and we'd like to take a photo with the council at this time. Thank you. It's the proclamation. Pastor, before you go, again, So we are celebrating our sesquicentennial, 150 years of being incorporated here in the city of Terrell. And with that, I have a challenge coin that the mayor and the council gives out. And I want you to know how important the faith-based community is to our city and to this council and the work that you're doing with your church. So our challenge is that you continue to do so and do so in a positive way for the county. So thank you for your service, and we appreciate it very much, and that's for you. I don't know, sometimes they use them in the bar, you probably won't, but you can use heads and tails, right? You can use heads and tails. All right, does anybody else have anything?
Yeah, okay. So, Mayor, I have to mention, I think I'm professionally obligated to mention when the mayor is being inducted into a Hall of Fame. And so I would just say that there's a Terrell High School football game this Friday. There's an induction this week. It is a big honor, and it is a really nice thing to see our own mayor get inducted into the Terrell High School Athletic Hall of Fame. So that's good news and a lot of fun.
Well, thank you very much. It is very, means a lot to me to be honored in this way. I have a lot of my classmates who are members. I'm actually getting inducted with one of my classmates, Matt Pearson, who went, and I know some people are going to boo, but he went to OU first, and then transferred to Houston before the portals were around. He transferred to Houston and was just a phenomenal athlete, and it was my honor to play with this guy. And I'm looking forward to this weekend's festivities and visiting with a lot of the teammates that I had. Grady played with us, you know, so it's going to be good to see everybody at the stadium. So thank you very much, Mike.
Also, real quickly, Mayor, I'd also like to mention, too, that we can't forget about the great Cornell Horn.
Yeah, oh yeah, he's here.
Amazing track star in high school. He's going to be inducted into our Hall of Fame as well.
All right. Man,
Some
I'm
of you
in
not
good-
get to see him run, but I did, and man, my God. So happy to hear that. So
That's wonderful.
Some of us are hoping that Cornell's main claim to fame will be success as a Terrell flag football team member when we challenge the state hospital here soon. So hopes are high for Cornell. His days of fame and glory are still ahead of him.
So good. All right. At this time, we will move on and hear remarks from visitors. Do we have anyone? All right. So we'll move on to item 6, which is the adoption of the minutes. This item is to discuss and consider the minutes from the regular city council meeting on September the 19th of 2023 and the special city council meeting and workshop on September the 29th of 2023. Council, is there a motion on this item?
Motion to approve item 6.1 as presented.
Hold on. Now we got it. Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
our second.
We have a motion from Mayor Ronnie Velasquez, Mayor Pro Tem District 3, a second from Grady Simpson, District 2, to approve the minutes of the regular city council meeting of September the 19th and the city council meeting and workshop of September the 29th of 2023. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
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 Any opposed? Oh, did you, I think you're a yes vote, right?
I'm aye as well.
Okay, wonderful. Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimous vote of those present. Our next item on the agenda is our public hearing. 7.1, to conduct a public hearing to receive comments regarding the proposed City of Terrell Property Assessed Clean Energy PACE program. This is going to be handled by John Godwin.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. If I may, I'm going to kind of address all three of these items, 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, because they all are related and go together, so I'll just make the one somewhat brief presentation. We've talked about the PACE before. It is ultimately an economic development tool that the state established by law a number of years ago, state legislature did. What it does is it creates equity by encouraging the use of new technologies and improvements, typically to older buildings. That's not always the case, but it has a lot to do with, originally it did anyway, with refurbishing old historic buildings that were too expensive to invest in, by monetizing basically the improvements to water, water conservation, and also utilities, gas, electric, and so forth and so on. And so the PACE program is again an economic development program. We've talked about it here several times. We're interested in getting involved in that. Kind of got associated with them initially, talking about a hospital facility. I'd worked a little bit with PACE in previous positions. But at any rate, this is a program, just to remind you, it's at no cost to the city. City's making a commitment that we're going to do this. The only commitment you're making is that you're going to contract through a professional services agreement, which is also on this agenda, and designate this particular group as your administrator for the program, and Texas Space Authority. And then if for some reason those debts are not paid once a loan is given through the administration of the Texas Space Authority, that you will use you'll use your tax collection attorney to collect it like an overdue tax, but no cost, no risk to the city whatsoever. Hopefully it'll be a big benefit to the city as time goes by and to the community at large. And so you are required to do three things. One is conduct the public hearing, and I'll sit down and let that happen. And then, of course, you have to approve the resolution creating the program, and then you will also technically hire or enter into the public services agreement with this particular nonprofit.
Okay.
Any questions for me? Probably not.
Not at this time. We're
Okay.
going to go ahead and do the public hearing, and then we'll call you back. So this is a public hearing, so at this time, the mayor will call the public hearing to order. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak on this matter? Hearing none, the mayor will close the public hearing, and we'll move on to item 7.2.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we bring to you tonight resolution number 2100, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Terrell establishing the City of Terrell's PACE program.
All right. Again, this is going to be handled by John. If you would come forward. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Godwin? We did workshop this a little bit. Again, this is just putting another tool in our belt that we can use for economic development purposes, and especially downtown and our older buildings, I think, right?
Right.
So anybody have any questions? And I don't see Phil, so I don't know how we're going to know. Is he there?
I have a couple questions, Mayor.
Okay. All right.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. We discussed this a little bit previously, but so PACE financing can make it more difficult to sell or refinance a property because a lien is placed on the property. Is that correct?
It can, but again, it becomes any kind of, it takes priority over other debts. So it's a debt like other debts, it's just a means that how people have to pay that debt. So that debt has to be paid first over other things.
So is there any risk that, say, a property owner that got in over their head with a PACE loan could lose the property to foreclosure if they can't make the payments of the loan?
No, no.
Okay. That's not even a possibility of any kind.
No, should not be, no.
Okay. I was reading a little bit about the PACE program, and I saw some, some concerns surrounding it that related specifically to that. But if that's the case,
Okay. Lost you. Sorry. So it sounds like Phil's got his question. Okay. Probably a call at the station. Maybe. Yeah, dropped, okay. All right, council, does anybody else have any questions for Mr. Godwin? Hearing none, is there a motion on item 7.2?
Yes, Mayor, motion to approve items 7.2.
Resolution 2100.
Yes, Mayor, a motion to approve resolution 2100.
Have a motion, is there a second? A second. We have a motion from Grady Simpson, District 2, a second from Stephanie Holmes Thomas, Deputy Mayor Pro Tem, District 4, to approve Resolution 2100 as presented. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous vote of those present. Our next item on the agenda is 7.3.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, item 7.3 is to discuss and consider a professional services agreement authorizing Texas Property Assessment Clean Energy Authority, Texas PACE Authority, to administer the City of Terrell PACE program.
Okay. Mr. Godwin, anything on this one? Okay, does anybody have any questions for John on this item? Again, it's basically the same thing, just the agreement.
Authorize the city manager to execute the agreement.
Yeah. So is this on our, I can't, which one is it? What page is that?
This one starts on agenda item page 79.
On what, 79?
Yeah,
79?
right. That's the start of the agreement.
Okay, let me get there.
This is the template agreement that is used throughout their entire system of all the other local governments in the state of Texas that have one of these agreements with the PACE team.
Okay. Is anybody having more? I tell you, we're having some IT problems here. Let me get
You
this.
want to see mine, Mayor?
Yeah.
There you go.
Is this it right here? 79, okay. All right. So this is to approve the professional service agreement authorizing Texas Property Assessed Clean Energy Authority and to be administered by the city of Terrell, which would be the city manager, correct? Okay. Is there a motion on 7.3?
Motion to authorize the city manager to execute a professional services agreement authorizing Texas Property Assessed Clean Energy Authority to administer the City of Terrell PACE program.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
We have a motion from Mayor Ronnie Velazquez, Mayor Pro Tem District 3, a second from Grady Simpson, District 2, to authorize the city manager to move in and execute the agreement authorizing Texas Property Assessed Clean Energy Authority to administer with the City of Terrell. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous vote of those present. Our next item on the agenda is 8.1.
And 8.1, Mr. Mayor, is to discuss and consider reappointment to the tax increment reinvestment zone numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4 boards and the Power Center Board.
All right, is there, this is going to be handled by Don Stahl.
Yes, Mayor and Council, in your packet is the tax increment reinvestment zone number 1, 2, 3, and 4 board roster. Mike Hunt is up for reappointment, as well as Charles Whitaker. The Commissioners Court will have that on their agenda very soon, and they have chosen to reappoint him based on their vote. Charles Whitaker is up for reappointment, and he does wish to be reappointed. And this falls under the oversight of Phil Robinson.
And we don't have him.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry, it falls under the mayor.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
So I just need some legal, if the county hasn't appointed yet, is there any legal reasons why the city couldn't move forward? Or do we wait until the county approves and then we approve?
You can move forward now if you wish, Mayor.
Okay, so it would be my recommendation that we move forward with Charles Whitaker and our county commissioner, Hunt. Is that correct?
The Commissioners Court will reappoint him.
So we don't have to do that?
Right.
Got it,
We only
okay.
reappoint Charles.
Okay, got it. You're right. Sorry, yeah, you're right. So then the motion would be to move to approve Charles Whitaker to serve on the tax increment refinance zone number 1, 2, 3, and 4 boards, and the Power Center Board. That would be the mayor's motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion from the mayor, a second from Grady Simpson, District 2, to move forward with Charles Whitaker as the appointee. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous vote of those present. Our next item on the agenda is to discuss appointment and reappointment of the Zoning Board of Adjustments. Again, this is our City Secretary, Don Stahl.
Yes, Mayor and Council, your Zoning Board of Adjustments roster is in your packet. Dr. John Kegaris is up for reappointment or replacement, and that is the only reappointment that we have at this time. And this is only a discuss for tonight, and this falls under Phil Robinson.
Okay, so Phil isn't with us, so since it's just discussed, we don't even need to
you do not.
postpone. It's ready to go. Well, let's wait until we can get Phil's input on this, and then we'll move forward. If we can bring this back next week. Dawn, if you'll put it on for next week, please. Next item on the agenda is 9.1. Greg?
I believe it's 8.3, Mr. Mayor.
Is it?
The Civil
Yes,
Service
you're correct.
Commission.
Yes.
Motion.
So this is a discussion also for the Civil Service Commission appointment and reappointments. Again, Don Stahl.
Yes, Mayor and Council, the roster for the Civil Service Commission is in your packet. Rick Jackson, he has resigned his position on this board, so he will need to be replaced, as well as Oscar Henson, his term is up, as well as Gabe Hernandez. And this board falls under Grady Simpson. This is just a discussion for this evening. There's no vote necessary. We'll bring this back at a later time.
All right. Grady, or Mr. Simpson, you got any comments?
None at this time, and no candidates, so maybe for the next hearing.
Okay, so you'll have some maybe recommendation. Do we have anybody who's filed?
We do not have any applications at this time for that board.
So is there qualifications to serve on this board that's different than just a normal board?
Yeah, there's some state law involved with this particular board, and what we'll do is we'll have Dawn or one of the staffers reach out to Councilman Simpson to kind of walk through what those requirements are and make sure we're all eye to eye on that.
Okay, great.
Sounds good.
All right, then we will have this back soon? Okay, good, thank you. Our next item on the agenda is 9.1, discuss pre-construction services for project 2023C-01 and 2023C-02, Fire Station number 2 and number 3, design services and construction manager and agent. This is going to be handled by our downtown project manager, Raylan Smith.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. As approved by your actions back in June and in August, the City of Terrell has negotiated a contract with Core Construction as the construction manager agent and WRA as the architect for all city-owned facilities. The first two projects that we're bringing forward to you would be the possibility of a new construction for Fire Station number 3 and also a renovation for Fire Station 2. You have had the opportunity to meet with some of our Core Construction representatives. I have here tonight John with WRA. So he is here representing the architectural firm in case you have any questions. Just real quick, there's only a couple of slides. You also have in your packet copies of the actual task orders. How these were, do you have the remote? I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, I can go to the next one. Your first project, which would be project number 2023C-01, this is for pre-construction services only. This would include the pre-design programming, schematic design, design development, and also your value engineering. What staff is proposing is that when those documents are prepared, that then task order number 2 would be to bring back to City Council the value engineering cost, kind of the construction estimates and timeline that we would have. And so the next action that we would be asking you to take would be your decision to move forward to construction documents and bidding. So this would just be task order number 1. And you have your totals there for Core Construction and also for WRA. Fire Station number 2, which is 2023C-02, it would be for the same pre-construction services. And there is your task order number 1 cost for our 2 consultants on these projects.
Anybody have any questions for Raylan on this item? And this will be coming back to us
Next week.
next
yes.
week? And this will be for approval? Or what?
Yes, yeah, it would be discuss and consider approval for task order number 1 for both projects.
Okay.
Raylan, I want to make sure I understand the slides and what I heard you say. So task order number 1 for Fire Station number 3 and Fire Station number 2 have 4 different distinct costs, 2 associated, half of those 4 associated with one or the other.
Yes.
And for each of the core construction CMA cost and the cost for the architects, we are going to, this proposal includes pre-design programming, schematic designs, design development, and value engineering.
Yes, ma'am.
And at what point does council have the opportunity to provide feedback and to see some of the designs before they, or to contribute feedback to go towards the final draft of these designs?
So at each one of those points, those are actually milestones that are established within the overall umbrella contract. I would be glad to bring you, when we get finished with the programming, which will basically be a document that says, this is the number of square feet we believe that the department needs. These are things that we definitely want to include. So you would have deliverables at each one of those milestones, if that's how you would prefer to be updated.
And it sounds like, here, let me rephrase that. I just heard you say that in that final draft or programming, there will be specific asks of staff for each fire station. One of the last conversations that council had, we had we challenged staff with sharing what are the wants, well, what are the basic needs, and then what are the wants, that wish list as well, so we could be able to differentiate.
Yes. So
How much would go into those?
what your architect and then also core construction, and John, feel free to tap in here. During the design process, there will be a constant list of alt ads. So you will have your basic design of what you know that you're going to bid. And then if there, depending on where your budget lays, if there are some of those wants, those do remain on a separate list. And once you get to the end of that, you can actually determine, is it worth going out for bid for that, for an alternate? Or, but in speaking with WRA and also with Chief LeCroy, we believe that they have a really good baseline for fire stations and definitely some non-negotiables going into the building, and then just kind of working through the other requests. But yeah.
That's John, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
John, and John, as you're speaking, I'd love to hear feedback or your experience and how you've worked with, how you have incorporated other councils throughout projects.
Absolutely, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. So typically the way that, and our process is 100% customizable, but typically what we do is we get with the end users first, right, which are the firefighters, figuring out, hey, what are your needs right out of this facility? We don't just design a facility, hand it over to them and say, hey, you use it, right? So we get those needs and wants from them. We put together a rough idea of what the program is gonna be, make sure it's in the budget, right? Because at the end of the day, a lot of times those wants and needs far outweigh what the budget is. We get it within that budget, and then we end up presenting it to the council, right? And before then, obviously, staff. But the council for, hey, does this look right? Right? Is this what your community is going to want to see from a renovated fire station, from a brand new fire station? Right? At that point, we go through each of these steps and continue to give you updates, not only on the design, but also the budget.
So, I guess, question, there's no work done yet, right? There's no work done yet. We have to move forward with this first step. Then the process begins, and then we start having input and discussion as you get your work done.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah, typically we start with the end users first and get their input. So it would be like I said, the firefighters, the leadership of the fire department, and then also city staff, and then present something to y'all.
And you know what, the chief is involved, and the fire department, I mean, again, mayor has no idea about building a fire station. So when the time comes that we need to be involved and start making decisions, mostly that's going to be budget related.
Yes, sir.
But we have to begin somewhere. We have to begin somewhere, and this is pre-design the programming and all.
At the end of your programming milestone, you will have not the layout of the building, but the space needs for the building. So you'll be able to see the number of living quarters, the size of the kitchen, any other additional.
Total square footage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So
All right.
there'll be something we can bring to you.
Anybody have any questions? Again, this is just going to be next Tuesday, or when are we meeting again?
It'll be next Tuesday that'll come back for action, sir.
Okay, and that amount that's going to be requested is the 335?
So it's going to
Yes.
be for core construction, that's 20,000. WRA, 315,563, that's task order number 1, which is fire station number 3.
Yes.
The next slide on the next page is task order number 1 associated with fire station number 2. So that one's just the remodel, so it's going to come in at a lower price.
95.
That's core construction's 10, WRA $85,500. And all of those are just authorizing the city manager to execute those agreements. And you're definitely going to see different steps of this process along the way. That's the point of these four little step-by-step motions there that Raylan set up for us. Those are going to be steps in your opportunity to say, hey, I need to see the details of the project as it's being worked on. Those will be your steps where you get to see.
Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Again, this will come back next Tuesday with these amounts, so everybody's clear on that. I do have a council member that's going to request to leave shortly, so he'll be back. Grady, if you're good. We still have a quorum. Next on the agenda is 9.2, discuss and consider professional engineering services repairing Apache Trail. This is going to be our city engineer, Chris Snap.
Council, Mayor, City Manager, brings with you, as you know, we just recently approved the budget for the new year. So as a result of that, many things that we talked about was talked about roads. So here's your first rattle out of the box coming here for the new year. This is for the repairing services of Apache Trail. This is to go with the professional services of McManus Engineering. One reason they were selected, they have previously designed part of the repairs on Apache Trail, so they already have a lot of the surveying data and information relative to that road. We went out and made an assessment, and this professional services agreement here would be involving the engineering of about 4,000 linear feet on Apache Trail. You'll see on the map, page 157. Oh, so you'll have to thumb through your book, I guess. There's a map highlighted in red that is going to display what sections of the road that we'll be repairing. Some of the road has already been repaired, so that's why you're seeing some gaps in there. So it does not involve repairing from Las Lomas to 148 because there are some good sections in there. So the engineering services for this would be seeking for approval, anticipated a not to exceed price of $48,000 for their engineering services.
And there's no repairs that can be done until the engineering is done.
Correct.
That's right. So this is the first step in what we believe to take how long, how many months?
To do this project, probably around 10 months.
10 months, all right. So I can tell you, council, that even back when I was chairman of the Economic Development Corporation, there had needed to be work done on Apache Trail. And these businesses and those that work there, they're producing a lot of tax dollars for the city, and we haven't been able to address it. And we're at a moment now where we can. I think we should. Does anybody have any questions for Chris on this item?
Chris, thank you for the overview of this item. The budget for this item is coming out of the bond that we approved in August.
That's correct.
And time frame, engineering time frame. What does that look like if it moves forward at our next council meeting?
I would anticipate the engineering would be done in probably 3 months to 4. This one's probably going to go a little faster than our Temple and our Metro that we've done because it required a heavy surveying data in front of it. This one probably will not take that much. So we're anticipating. That's why you see the lower engineering cost.
Some of the data is already available to us.
Yep. They've already had McManus has already done some engineering back 2 to 3 years ago when Steve and Mike were doing assessments. There's where some, especially around the railroad track, there's a good section that's already been repaired that's very smooth. So we won't be touching that.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Councilman, oh, we got one.
I have some questions, Mayor.
Yes.
Okay, this is probably more for Mike Sims. Other than the fire station, can you sort of outline to me why the reconstruction of this road is important and good for Terrell? What do we see as sort of the benefit here of spending this? I think the last projection was the total cost of the project would be around $8 million potentially. Is that correct?
So the preliminary estimate, if we were to have done all of Apache Trail, was $3.8 million. And I think
3.8 million, okay.
Yeah, 3.8. And I believe what we are trying to do at the staff level is to be attentive to the idea that, hey, we only have a limited amount of dollars for all of our roadway and facility improvements that we're trying to do out of the 2023 COs. And so in an effort to kind of be frugal on that, that's why that map does not show all of the red along Apache Trail. We're trying to cut that cost down. I don't want to try to quote a construction cost to you right now, but my hope is that by reducing this to the absolutely we must sections of Apache Trail, we're going to get some savings off of that dollar amount. So that's one point. The other point is, remember, this is still a major collector for us. So we've got several large businesses that rely on it. We've got employees going to work every day on it. We've got loads that use it. We've got the fire station going in there, as you know. So we also see this as a alternate route that gets used whenever we have problems on FM 148. Remember, there'll be a time here over the next few years where TxDOT does improvements on FM 148. When that happens, this becomes a detour route for us, and that's going to drive even more people onto this road from time to time. So for all of those reasons, we think it's necessary to move through, and it's also just a street that shows up as red on our street assessment. So it does qualify as one of our, quote, red streets that we need to take attention to.
So just, I have a little trouble getting behind an expenditure of $3.8 million on the construction of one road of questionable benefit to Terrell. We're not spending even close to that amount on all the other streets in Terrell. So I'm just have some concerns about it. It's coming out of a bond that was approved in August. Can you kind of give me a better overview of the funding?
Sure. The 2023 CCO issuance was $27 million total. The way that was set up is it gives us flexibility to spend between Fire Station number 3, Fire Station number 2 remodel. It allows us to do this Apache Trail project, which is the road utilized by Fire Station number 3. And then it includes the ability to fund a collection of additional local streets. So Chris Snap will be back in front of you here in a few weeks with an engineering agreement where he's going out. As we mentioned to you, we're doing an RFP now to try to find ourselves a good firm to do the engineering on all of the remainder of all of the city streets. But we do hope that that can be a reasonably good dollar amount. That RFP is actually going out to tackle funds from the 2023 CO, funds that are anticipated to be available from our planned FY24 CO issuance, and I'm sorry, our fourth quarter 2024 CO issuance, and next year's and this year's pay-as-you-go street program. So we're trying to save money in our engineering work there and get one firm to do that collection. And we feel like that's going to be a larger engineering effort for us, and that's where we'll be able to tackle all of the other local roads. And I can assure you this $48,000 of engineering is going to look real small in comparison to the engineering budget for all of the other local streets that we have for that collection of funds. The other engineering contract is really the one that will tackle all of the other local streets. This was just an opportunity for cost savings because, as Chris mentioned, this firm has done quite a bit of work over the last 3 or 4 years in this exact same area. It's just cost efficient to use this firm for this work.
Have we 100% nailed down the location for the fire station as being at that spot on Apache Trail?
Yes, sir. That was purchased under the previous 2021 CO issuance, and that's at the corner of Rexel and Apache Trail. So that's a dialed-in location.
That's all I have. Thank you.
I have a question.
Thank you, Councilman.
Have we looked at any other partnership opportunities, maybe with the businesses out there, anything? Or is there any other way we can help and get a little revenue versus us paying it all?
Absolutely. So I'm glad you asked that question. We do have a few agreements in place with the Economic Development Corporation, where as new companies come into that area, they do kick off development fee revenues, and we are able to use that to help support these debt payments. And so that's how we have that part of it arranged. So as we collect, say, there's a company coming in soon that's going to owe a $250,000 impact fee. That's going to go into your INS revenues so that we can prevent an impact on Terrell taxpayers related to that. So that's just helping with tax rate at this point.
Nothing with the existing businesses that's using it now? No kind of contribution to the city or to?
No, there's not a fee opportunity there for us to collect out of the existing businesses that are there on that street.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Thank you, Chris. Again, this will come back to us next Tuesday. This is going to be an amount not to exceed $48,000.
I believe this is a discussion.
Yes, I know. I'm just letting everybody know what we're going to be looking at next Tuesday. Is this will be a not to exceed 48,000? Is that right or no?
That's correct. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm letting everybody know now. All right. Next item on the agenda is 9.3. Discuss downtown landscape project schedule. This is going to be handled by Raylan Smith. No, I'm just letting everybody know so they're not surprised.
That's not what it says.
Was this what the discussion considered?
Say discussing.
Oh, it was a discussion to consider. I'm sorry. Man, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
This is a consider item.
If you wish, Mayor, we can let Raylan do hers and come back to the.
Yeah, let's do that. Go ahead, Raylan.
Okay, just real quick, I wanted to give you an update on the Paddock Board's downtown landscape project. We're going to have a really tight schedule over the next 30 to 60 days. I put a calendar in your packet. You also have a few drawings. We don't have a whole lot of detail. We've been working with the landscape architect. Our main concern was making sure that we had the median done correctly there at Rockwall headed towards Francis. Everything has been within the Paddock's established budget, which you've seen several times. But I wanted to bring this schedule to you to let you know that the next time that you saw this item, we would have gone through the bidding process, and actually staff would have made a recommendation to Paddock on a contractor, and then we will roll that as a Paddock recommendation to the city council. So I was just trying to give everyone a heads up about the schedule for us to try to make the December planning schedule. So if you have any questions or if there's additional information that y'all would like, I'd be glad to get it to you.
Does anybody have any questions for Raylan on the downtown landscape project?
I was just kind of curious. I know there's a lot of, at the end of the year, it's the Christmas parade. So we won't have anything planted before that?
No. The only thing that they will do is they may have taken up some trees just there on the side, but they will not actually start install or cutting off any of the roadways until after the parade.
Then it won't be any danger or anything that may cause harm or
No.
safety issues to have that downtown?
No, ma'am, no demo at all.
Anyone else?
Raylan, I see that there's an updated concept here where, I think the last time I saw this, there were coverings for planters, existing planters, and the photo that I'm seeing on page 161, I don't see the covered plant boxes, or is that further down? And I also have a
Further
second-
down, the smaller planter boxes that are located between the blocks, those are all going to be covered. And what you see here is we will actually be doing concrete cuts where the existing median is there on Moore, right at Rockwall, between Rockwall and Francis. And we will be making that one landscaped spot rather than having those large median boxes, because we did have one missing. So it was more cost efficient to cut that out and make that into one planter.
Okay, thank you.
Raylan, quick question for you. I believe that we've discussed previously some of the concerns that constituents have had regarding roadway obstructions. Are we making sure that we're kind of taking that into account in all the planting we're doing to not obstruct any turns or causing any safety concerns?
Yeah, our contractors will definitely have to pull a tech stop permit. I can't say that, especially while they're working on the median, that one main median there on Rockwall, we will definitely keep to our schedule and make sure that we're working when there's less people on the roads. We're only looking at a 10 to 15 day construction window. So they do plan on getting in and out pretty quickly, and it will be right around the holidays. So we will keep it to a minimum for sure. Most of the work done with the smaller planters and there on the corners, we can work within the parallel parking and also our side streets. The main concern for Highway 80 is just going to be whenever we're working on the median.
But as far as the actual trees that are planted, they're not going to obstruct any traffic views.
No, they meet all of TxDOT requirements.
Okay. Because they're high canopy? Is that the primary reason?
Yes, they'll be high canopy, and we're also going with a larger caliber of tree. So we will get the height requirement when they're planted, yes.
Okay, last question for you. I feel like the design may have changed a bit since I last saw it. What's sort of the thinking with regard to going with a sort of the steel look? We've got kind of an old world downtown that kind of has a late 1800s, early 1900s feel, but this looks very modern. What's kind of the thinking around going in that direction?
It was to incorporate your black street lamps that are there, some of your more modern features that are there, the amount of money, and to match the bricks with the current planters that we have is not going to be cost efficient. And if at the end of the day, I'm sorry, Highway 80, while we're planting everything, where any construction for Highway 80, we will still be within the easements, those planter boxes either need to be completely rebuilt, which was way outside of our budget. So the engineering firm actually is the one that came up with the cover for those until something more permanent is decided. I think there was a total of 16 of those smaller planters downtown. And they feel like.
So this is kind of considered a temporary solution, or?
Well, it will be, it's a permanent solution as long as we want them there. It's nothing that has to be replaced anytime soon. And then it also incorporates, well, with the planters that have been chosen, the self-watering planters that will be put in front of your storefronts. So there'll actually be more planters downtown.
Okay. Okay.
So,
okay, thanks, Raylan.
was the downtown or the Paddock Board involved in some of this?
The Paddock Board's vetting all of this,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah.
The
All right.
Paddock Board will see it and review it one last time prior to it coming to council.
Okay. So, I just want to make sure for us, the council and the mayor, that this isn't a decision that the staff's doing.
No,
There was
this
some
is a
input.
Paddock recommendation.
And was that recommendation unanimous, or did you have people that were
No,
back and
it
forth?
was unanimous. In fact, Kimley Horn came in just this past Friday to go back over these same suggestions, just making sure that we were good with our construction documents, which is what y'all saw today.
Okay, good. All right.
And Raylan, to provide some additional feedback from when I was recently on the Paddock board, I think the Paddock board first had a hope that the planters that are currently there, especially the ones on the median, would be torn down and we would have something new. But because we are undergoing planning efforts to redesign Highway 80, the proposed recommendation from staff and from Kimley Horn was to do the wraparound around the existing planters.
Right. So it was determined by Paddock because in all of your scenarios for the Highway 80 reconstruction, that median between Rockwall and Francis would remain the same. Even when you look at left turn lanes or parking lots or no parking lots, in every scenario, that median was exactly the same. So they did decide to move forward with completely restructuring the median landscape.
So these are going to be completely restructured, no longer the wraparound
Yes, only in the median.
on the median.
Your smaller planters will still have the wraparound. We're just talking about the 4 big planters there on the median.
Full reconstruction.
Yeah,
Thank you for the clarification.
absolutely.
All right. Anyone else? Thank you, Raylan. So we need to go back to item 9.2, and this was a discuss and consider professional engineering services of repairing Apache Trail in an amount not to exceed $48,000. Is there a motion on 9.2?
Yes, Mayor, motion to approve item 9.2.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Have a motion from Grady Simpson, District 2, a second from Mayrani Velazquez, Mayor Pro Tem District 3, to move forward and approve the professional engineering services of Apache, of repairing Apache Trail in an amount not to exceed $48,000. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
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 Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries 3-1. Next item on the agenda is 9.5.
9.4.
9.4. Man, I am off tonight.
No problem.
Thank you.
Mayor.
Yes.
Mayor, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, item 9.4, we bring to you tonight on first reading ordinance number 3018, an ordinance of the City Council of Terrell, Kaufman County, Texas, amending Chapter 11 traffic regulations by the addition of Section 60 off-highway motor vehicles, providing for repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, providing a penalty, providing an effective date, and finding and determining that the meeting at which this ordinance was considered was open to the public as required by law. This comes to you tonight on first reading.
This is going to be handled by our Police Chief, Ken McKean.
Mayor and council, this ordinance is designed to help clarify an already existing state law that has some loopholes in it, I believe. And basically what it's doing is it's restricting the use of traditional off-road vehicles from running on Terrell streets. There is a loophole right now that says if, or some people are doing, is they are registering their vehicle in Montana and they're trying to use a reciprocity agreement, classifying their side-by-side or their off-road vehicle as a motor vehicle here in Texas. And this helps eliminate that problem. It also helps just clarify some of the current state law, which is a little ambiguous about where you can and can't use one. We're making it a little bit more restrictive, and it's a lot easier to understand.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for the chief on this item? This will come back next Tuesday for us to. This is the first reading? This is a discuss.
I'm sorry, excuse me.
Well, see, I think what is going on is our agenda is different because in the past, we've had all discussion. And after the discussion, we've had discuss and consider. Y'all have mixed up the discussion and the discuss and consider. Did we agree to that, council?
No,
Is
we had.
That's what's confusing for me. Is this?
Mayor, blame me. We have one that got out of order, so that's our problem tonight.
Okay.
So, we got
But
one.
in the
we got one to
future, we'll
hurdle.
have all discussion
Yeah.
items.
Uh-huh.
And
Yep.
then
Yep. We'll
after
get
that,
back to
we'll
normal
have-
next time around. We had just one, was a little error this time.
I'm sure the mayor and the council would appreciate that. Thank y'all very much. All right, so, again, this is a discussion item. Do not have anything for Chief? Nope. All right, we will see you next week.
I have a question.
Oh,
Chief.
yes.
Quick question. I'm just curious, what incident or series of incidents brought about the need for this ordinance?
In the past years, we've had a change to Texas state law that said you could ride some ATVs or side-by-sides and whatnot on certain roadways that were under a certain mile per hour in certain communities. And that caused a lot of people just to start riding up and down Moore Avenue in Virginia and all that, which was illegal at the time. So there was an educational process that went on with that. The current trend is to register your vehicle in a state that doesn't have the same laws that Texas has, and getting them classified as motor vehicles in different states, and then trying to argue the reciprocity that we have in operating a motor vehicle here in Texas. And to clarify that, this ordinance very specifically says that these vehicles, motor vehicles, and what they are, cannot be used on Terrell streets.
And if I may add, the chief asked me to look at the state law. It's on the state law about this, and quite frankly, the way I would interpret the current state law is it would be very difficult, if not impossible, to do what some of the folks are trying to do. What the problem is with a lot of these vehicles, they don't have the kind of safety equipment, the lighting and so forth that our state law requires for safety and other reasons. And it's also, they don't have to pay to register their vehicle here. They're trying to get around paying for our registration fees. It's basically just trying to make an end run around our traffic code, and this ordinance does go a long way to close any loopholes, if there are any, that exist with that particular piece of legislation.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And we will see you this next Tuesday. Next item on the agenda is 9.5.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we bring to you tonight for discussion item 2, ordinance number 2995, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Terrell granting to Atmos Energy Corporation, a Texas and Virginia corporation, its successors and assigns a franchise to construct, maintain, operate pipelines and equipment in the City of Terrell, Kaufman County, Texas, for the transportation, delivery, sale, and distribution of gas in, out of, and through said city for all purposes, providing for the payment of a fee or charge for the use of public rights-of-way, and providing that such fee shall be in lieu of other fees and charges, accepting ad valorem taxes, and repealing all previous gas franchise ordinance.
And this is going to be handled by our City Secretary, Don Stahl.
Yes, Mayor and Council, Ordinance 2995 grants Atmos Energy the right to use our public right-of-ways for the construction, for laying, maintaining, constructing, operating, and replacing their pipelines in our city. They will pay us 5% of the gross revenues billed in the City of Terrell each year. We'll get 5% beginning in January of 2024. This is a 25-year agreement that will end December 31st, 2048. And in our previous agreement, we were getting a 4% franchise fee.
Okay.
And this will come back next week.
Anybody have any questions for Don? All right, thank you. Our next item on the agenda is 9.6, discuss award of RFP for municipal court services. This is going to be handled by our City Secretary, Don Stahl.
Yes, Mayor and Council, City Attorney Mary Gail Ramsey and Judge Mike Smith created an RFP for municipal court collections, and it was mailed out on August 22nd, 2023. We received 2 responses from Lineberger, Goggin, Blair, and Sampson, and also a response from Purdue, Brandon, Fielder, Collins, and Mott. There was a committee consisting of Judge Mike Smith, Shelley Wallace, our finance director, Mary Gail Ramsey, our city attorney, and myself. We all went over the RFPs. We did a scoring sheet, and that is included in your packet. And the firm chosen was Purdue, Brandon, Fielder, Collins, and Mott. And this will be on the agenda for a vote next week. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions for Don on this item?
Yes, Don, thank you. It looks like between Linebarger, Gogan, Blair, and Sampson, and Purdue, Brandon, Fielder, Collins, and Mott, LLP, all of the scoring was the same except for value-added services at no cost. Can you tell us a little bit more about what differentiated one firm from the other in this scoring?
Yes. As we went through both of the RFPs, most of the services were the same. The one difference was Purdue will pay the yearly Tyler Technologies collection module maintenance fee of $2,200. And that was the only difference. So that's kind of what made us choose Purdue.
Okay. Good.
Also, they are our existing contractors and are very familiar with what we're doing here. And while I wasn't on the committee, I very much concur with the findings. So.
All right.
So to clarify that, the one difference was $2,200
per year.
But they are currently our tax collector.
Yes, they're the current firm that is used to do collections. And Judge Mike Smith was happy with their performance to date. And so he was very comfortable with moving forward with them.
And just to state it again, it's not tax collection services. This is municipal court collection services.
Anyone else? Next on the agenda is 9.7. And we do have, by the way, some folks from Purdue, right? Did you want to address the council, or we're good? So, only if you want to. That's a former council member that's talking.
Mayor and council, my name is Elizabeth Banda Calvo, and with me tonight are Doug Burnside and Charles Dayoub. Again, thank you so much for the opportunity to serve you again, and we look forward to more years of working together.
Okay, thank y'all for being here. We appreciate you very much driving into the city. It means something. Thank you. All right, next on the agenda is 9.7, discuss Magnolia Estates sewer line replacement. City Engineer Chris Snap.
City Council, Mayor, City Manager, I bring to you for discussion only tonight. So, there's a sewer line over in Magnolia Estates. So if you'll turn, you can't do this. Okay.
Aren't you an Aggie? Aren't Aggies former? Aren't they?
So Magnolia Estates is located over on, across the street from the police station on Highway 34 and by Rose Street, San Jacinto, in that area. This project had started probably 2 years ago, and it has evolved. In working with this developer here, as you will see, look at 387, 397, right there. This is an outlay of the property here, and what we are involved with is the sewer line that is servicing the San Jacinto homes was severely in bad shape, over 75 years old, having numerous breaks, failures, collapse on the sewer. So obviously you know what happened. So this developer came in, and as you can see, the red line, this project was already identified under the utilities department as it needs to be replaced. This developer came in, and the original plan, as you can see, the red dotted line, as it goes all the way through over to Highway 34, to connect to the sewer. When the developer came in, he's putting houses, if you'll go to the next page, and there's a kind of a plot plan of concept of where the houses are gonna look like on the property. So what we did is, you can see, go back, please. We moved and shortened the sewer line, and we made a joint effort with the developer in repairing, because that sewer line is now being used for the old houses on San Jacinto and the new developments on the back side of that property. So what we skirted out of doing is having to replace that line solely on the city's dime. So we actually made a partnership and make it with the developer. And the total price of this is $170,094.03. So
What would the cost have been, Chris, if we?
the estimated cost of what we anticipated, that cost of what we had, at least $350,000 to $450,000.
So maybe.
Easily.
Yeah, so a half.
Because we were gonna have to go all the way to Highway 34.
Okay.
Extensive length of pipe.
So we're able to save quite a bit of money by
Yes.
partnering with this developer.
That's correct.
Anybody have any questions for Chris on this item?
I do. I just want to clarify. So if I look at the yellow portion, that's the part that the developer's going to be assisting with?
Yes, that's what we're actually gonna end up putting in.
Okay.
And the red line was what we were originally proposing
For us.
before the developer came into the picture.
Okay, so now we'll.
So we saved a lot, more than half the
About
pipe.
half of the line.
And this benefits the new development and those older homes as well.
Yes.
Okay. Does anybody have any other questions?
Are we voting on this tonight? No.
Discuss only.
I know it. I like saving, I like.
I like the way you're thinking, though.
Chris, I'm glad to hear that this would help reduce the cost on the city, and it's a joint opportunity to work with the developer. Where is the funding to repay the developer going to propose to come out of? The utility?
Yes, that's correct.
Do we have a contingency in the utility to pay for this, or was?
There's some development partnership and contingency funds in your utility capital reserve for this kind of expenditure. So we always program a little bit of that money in case we find an opportunity to save money, because after all, we'd had to spend $450,000 on this ourselves in the next couple of years. So that's why we always try to keep a line item in the budget like that.
And the utility capital reserve has this full, we can pull this full amount from the utility capital reserve.
Yes.
Okay, anyone else? And, yes.
That's correct.
And this will be coming back next Tuesday for us. Is there anyone else who has any questions? All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is business items. This is going to be 10.1, discuss and consider Freeze and Nichols contract amendment for Crossroads Park design. This is going to be handled by our Director of Public Services, Glenn Caldwell.
Actually, it's the Hall of Famer himself.
I didn't look up, yeah. Hey, you know, we're going to have our rings and our jackets, won't we?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. Next slide. Visions becoming reality. The purpose of our planning efforts was to provide the City of Terrell with the master concept plan and grant application for the Crossroads new urban park. The linear park and trail is planned to be 2,200 feet long by 200 foot wide, with the urban park plaza being about 1.6 acres. The primary deliverables was the concept plan for the Crossroads Park, and the local parks grant application was for the grant cycle back in December of 2020. This is a concept plan of the future development. And as you can see, the green space, golf-shaped green space is the park and is located between Spur 557 and I-20. Now for the history lesson. Venture Phase 1 is the first development agreement that was signed back in December 10th of 2019. The total amount of fees collected by the City of Terrell was $700,000, with the reimbursement expenses being $50,000. As you can see on the right, the Venture Phase 1 apartments, along with the Linear Park and Park Plaza wrapping around it, along with the pond. Venture Phase 2 is the second agreement that was signed in January 26, 2022. The total amount of fees collected was $804,528. The reimbursement of expenses was $190,000. The pond reimbursement agreement was a reimbursement up to $400,000. You can see the pond and design concept on the right. Westwood Residential Phase 1 was a planned development approved on February 2023 of this year, and the total amount of fees is estimated to be $1,185,888. This is a summary spreadsheet of our revenues and expenses, with our Venture Phase 1 being $700,000, Phase 2, $804,528, Westwood is estimated $1,185,888. The Texas Park and Wildlife contribution of $750,000, and that being a subtotal of $3,440,416. Our expenditures for the Venture Phase 1 reimbursement, $50,000, Phase 2, $590,000, and our Engineering Phase 1, which Council has already approved, for $152,882, and Engineering Phase 2, which is why we're here today, was $73,789, and our opinion probable cost estimate for the park construction is initially $2,340,605, with the parking lot and driveway being $263,962, which brings us a subtotal of $3,471,238, leaving us a balance of $30,822 of possible city contribution. The urban outdoor and non-urban outdoor and small community recreation grants were made available to the local governments in Texas based on the population acquisition of development of public parkland. The Texas Park and Wildlife was seeking applications for its local park grants. The Park Board recommended moving forward with the grant application in October 13th of 2020. The City Council approved Resolution 997, authorizing the submission of the grant on October 20th, 2020. Texas Park and Wildlife received 56 eligible applicants that were due on November 6th of 2020. The City of Terrell ranked number 18 with a score of 58, and we were approved $750,000 in grant funds on May 27th of 2021. This was a 50-50 match, of course. The City Council then approved the Resolution 1073, authorizing professional engineering and design services not to exceed $152,882 on November 16th of 2021. These were the initial construction elements, which were native and adaptive landscaping, multi-use trails, solar lighting, playground elements, a plaza, pavilion structures, a water feature, site amenities, and signage. Now bring back full circle of the development and map. This was the original design rendering that was submitted for our grant application. Just a reminder, this is a rendering. These are our new accommodations to the development, and these are also in our amendment. The pedestrian bridge, the modular restroom, the access road for the park and future development, the parking lot, and the sidewalk connectivity from the park to the pond and other future development. And you can see here on the map, you can see the bridge, located in the east portion of the map, the restroom in the center, and as well as the driveway leading up to the parking lot with the sidewalk crossing over. Here's our updated opinion of probable cost estimate, with the total cost being the $2,340,000, and with a 20% contingency of $359,540. And then the second opinion probable cost estimate is for the roadway and parking lot, which comes up to $263,962, with the total being $2.6 million. Here's our project schedule. Of course, it's adjusted. City review and approval of the amendment will be October of this month, and the amendment contract execution, hopefully this month as well. The 90% construction design will be submitted to us in December of this year, along with our city review, which will be this year. In December, our 100% submittals will be in February of 2024. Advertising bid will be March 2024. We'll have our pre-bid meeting in the same month. Our bid opening and bid tabulation will be in April of 2024, and hope to award the contract in May of 2024, completing the construction in February of 2025, with the final grant closeout documents in and done in April. Staff recommendation is to approve Amendment 1A, described on Attachment Exhibit A, Scope of Services, $73,789,000, establishing an engineering design total not to exceed $226,671. And we have attached the Exhibit A along with everything else. Any questions?
Okay. Anybody have any questions for staff on this item?
Carnell, I have a quick question here.
Yes, ma'am.
So I see the staff recommendation for the scope of services and the design, the engineering design as well. And I understand that the grant is 50-50, 50% being paid by Texas Well Park and Life, and then the other 50% on the city. However, the developer that has built, the developer for this park is Shelby, is expected to be located. Are they still covering the full 50%, meaning we're still not out any money on the city's end with this additional recommendation? I'm hearing no.
Can you go back to the revenue and expenditure slide? So this is where Carnell's got the answer to your question. So on this page right here, we've got an estimated revenues for this overall project of $3.4 million and an overall expenditures of $3.4 million. The balance here, obviously, is that if we really end up with the exact OPCC of the park and the parking lot, then we're going to be over by $30,000. And my comment to you is, there's enough in the contingency and in the options that you're going to have with your decision making when you vote later on next year on the park and the parking lot. We can whittle that gap down. So what is known on this page and what's unknown on this page, right? What's known on this page is we're going to get about $3.4 million in revenue, but the Westwood says estimated. So I'm waiting on that. I'm working on that right now. And then the OPCCs, by definition, those are opinions of probable cost. So I've got, $2.5 million of probable cost here. So we're showing you right now today, our best estimate is that we're going to break even on this with developer contributions and with the cost of doing this project. That's our commitment to you. We are showing you a little out of balance here. I think by the time we get to the end of the project, we'll be in balance, but we need your permission to move forward and do the engineering on phase 2 so that we can just take the next couple of steps in the process.
And that, what I'm hearing is that staff is committed, should we move forward with this item, that staff is committed to continuing to share where we're attempting to make any reductions if needed as those additional items come across for approval?
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Carnell.
I just want clarification. The slide title is Crossroads Park Construction Elements. Okay, are we gonna still have all those features plus the additional requests and new project elements to accommodate the development? Are we gonna have both of those
Yes,
features?
yes,
or
ma'am.
has it just been a total?
Yes, ma'am. We're adding the other elements into it.
Okay. I just kind of cringed when I saw that modular rescue room thing. I thought, I know what those cost. I'm concerned about that, just seeing that addition. Is there a picture that kind of tells us where that parking lot's gonna be? And I'm curious about the size. I think it was 200, let me see how much that part.
It's on the, on your screen right there.
Where is it here?
It's right, if you look at the top portion of the screen, to your left, you'll see a small parking lot area with a road leading to it, right above the park.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, huh? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of close to that. I don't know.
Yeah.
The area's size really, I guess it's a.
This is
yeah, it's a
another,
keep down.
no, it's a good question.
Scale.
Another part of this is the development partnership area. So remember that what's happening here is that we're building a access road there that gets up into someone else's property. Part of this is what the city owns because it was provided to us as part of the development of the Crossroads District. The area where we're putting the parking lot was a agreement that we worked out with the owner of the land where we said, you know what, instead of having the parking lot eat into the size of the park, let's have the parking lot be on the private land. And so we're kind of working through that topic as well right now. I think that's beneficial to the park and it'll give us a better long-term strategy there. But of course, all of this is up to the design. Your park board will be involved in the design. They'll see different steps of this along the way. And I think, by the time we get to the end of it, we'll have a good project. But we need to cut it loose with the engineering so that we can get the details worked out for you.
Okay, another last question. When you go back to the slide that talks about the history, have we already got the reimbursement of that 400,000? I mean, is that a go? Is that what we got? Or was it less?
The history slide, remember that, I'm showing you both inbound and outbound money on that. So
Okay.
go up one, yeah, right there where it says Venture Phase 2 is the one her question was about. So on that one, we received 804,000.
Okay.
Part of it is we're planning on $190,000 worth of expenditures because the apartment developer is making improvements to their front lawn, which will be up on the edge of the pond. And they weren't required to do those, but they agreed to do those. So we took the 804, we said, okay, you get 190 if you'll do this nice front on the pond. And then on the pond itself, remember, it was the developer who paid for the fountain, the dock, the trail, the lighting, the seating, all of the stuff that's out there now. That was all paid for by the developer of the land. And so we received 804, but we're paying out a total of 590. And it's easier to read that on that next PowerPoint slide, Dawn, I'm so sorry. See down there where it shows, one more, another one? There you go. We've collected 804, but then look at the expenditures. Ventures Phase 2 reimbursement shows that 590 outbound. We've fully collected 700. We fully collected 804. We expect to collect 1.1 million, and we know that we have a grant for 750. The only uncertainty on revenues is the exact dollar amount of that Westwood project. Then on the expenditure side, we know the 50 has been spent. We know that most of the 590 has been spent, and we expect the remaining of it to have been spent. the engineering phase 1, that's a signed contract. Engineering phase 2, that's tonight's decision. And then those 2 other OPCs are the other unknowns that we'll just have to beat up. And y'all are all asking, I'll tell you, the exact same range of questions that we get from the park board, right? They're all concerned about the exact same issues of, can we truly make this a break-even project for us where there aren't city funds in it? That's where their heart is as a park board. And so I think they'll give you a lot of scrutiny to this as it moves forward.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions for Carnell?
Yeah, this is Phil. I share the concerns of the park board. I love the idea of us breaking even and getting a park, for virtually zero sum there. But I'd like to see us make sure we follow through with that as being the plan, and the expenses don't become out of control. I think again, I share Councilwoman Holmes Thomas's concerns about the modular bathroom. I think that's some items like that maybe we can cut expenses to make sure we get that balance down. We could probably help reset go more easily. I do want to ask, can you refresh our memory regarding what specifically the park board had to say about this project? There's concerns that were expressed.
One of the main concerns was the bridge and where it was located. But I believe that Film Alley is doing some development in their property, so the location of the bridge will be moved. I know there was some concern, and then also the restroom. Those were the main 2 concerns that the park board had.
Okay. One last concern that I have that I want to express is the park is so small, and it's so much of it is along that drainage ditch. I believe the National Park and Recreation Association suggests a park be at minimum 6 to 10 acres. This is a 1.6 acre park, very small for such a large expenditure. But if we can get it for such a low cost to the city, then I think that it's a win. So thanks for the information for us.
And remember, this is amenity for that area and for the development that's currently going on there. We'll have, for a city park, I would agree that the size would make a difference if you're trying to hit a residential development. You're probably going to build a much bigger park than what you would here. This is an amenity that's associated with the development that is currently there at Crossroads. And again, it's zero cost. I think I'm confident in saying that it's going to be at zero cost to the city when it's all said and done.
Carnell, from my park board experience, so I'm trying to weigh and also weigh the pros and cons between a modular versus a non-modular bathroom like the ones that have existed in the city of Terrell, and the type of product that is inside of the walls of those bathrooms, and the previous bathrooms that the existing bathrooms that we have, not the modular, tended to have toilets that were broken, tended to have sinks that were broken, graffiti or cleanup that would happen, which would then cause them to be not available for use until those issues could be addressed. And sometimes, and at times, they had to be brought to the park board as well for approval, which I won't say was the reason for a delay, but could all add some time for the approval of those expenses too. And I hear and have heard from staff about the positive of modular bathrooms in terms of less breakage because of the type of material that the sinks and the toilets are made of, as an example, the easier it is to clean modular bathrooms. So I'm trying to, I don't know if it would be, while we have talked about it, maybe it would be helpful when we have conversations around modular bathrooms to have some of the breakdown points of the pros and cons and what it may cost over time, over a period of time, to add a bathrooms like the ones we've historically had in the city, plus this is what damages we may expect based on previous damages to other bathrooms. It might help sort of see the pros to the cons, and I think, certainly council has challenged staff in the past to continue to look at different vendors and quotes to try to decrease some of that cost as well.
Yeah.
And that's really feedback for staff, not necessarily.
Absolutely. I can just say, we hear all that, and I'm happy to keep working on the topic, keep making sure we're doing the right direction there. And I'm definitely hearing you that you'd like to see some pros and cons of the modular restrooms, if that's indeed what the park board decides to do. We can easily have Glenn and Carnell work that up and provide that whenever we get to that step in this process.
So,
Absolutely.
I got a question for the council. Have y'all had an opportunity to visit one of these modular bathrooms? Because I did. Have you seen them? Yes. And the sturdiness of them and the cleanliness of them? And it's just not our community yeah, right, but it's just not our community. There's a reason why, yeah, they're expensive, but when you look at the life of the restroom versus building something less sturdy, and the maintenance associated with repairs associated with something that is less sturdy, if you break that out dollar for dollar, maybe that would help in not only the park board, but some of the council in their decision on moving forward with them. But, I've seen them. I know other communities, and I've talked to mayors and judges who've had them in their parks, and they're pleased with them, and they have much less replacement cost associated with them. So that's where they're saving the monies in the long run. You put the plate of money up front, but you don't have as much afterwards. So good discussion.
I have one more thing.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to ask staff to give me numbers on those fixtures, the stainless steel fixtures. If I know if a toilet is 30,000 versus 10,000, that's going to help me. But when I look at the construction of that building, cinder block, I've counted the cinder block, I know how many it takes. We have people in our community and businesses in our community could build that structure, but what might just knock me out the water, that porcelain throne that we use in our homes and in other buildings, that steel toilet may just blow my mind. It may be 50 grand, I don't know. But I would like to challenge you guys to get me some numbers on the appliances as far as the sink, the toilet, because I may be way off. It may not be a $5,000 toilet, something like that. And a modular restroom for 300 grand may be 50,000. So I would challenge you guys to do that for me, just as a council member, because it's always been my concern. I had concerns before, and I negotiated to get the product, but it's just a major concern when I look at the overall number. Again, this park is not going to be used like a public park. It's for those people in that area near the crossroads. I don't anticipate the same type of usage in a park this size and this small, and thinking about the people and the individuals that it serves. The neighborhood's just a little different than sometimes what we get when we look at some of the problems we've had with some of our parks. So there's, I think, going to be a different sector of people and eyes on that park. So that's why I'm concerned. And when I look at us coming over budget just by a little bit, I know we have what we need in this community to get it even below that. Even 30 grand, it's not a heck of a lot, but I think we can do better. So that's what I challenge you guys. Let me see what those fixtures cost, and I can make a good determination, because I know what that structure looks like. I know what's in it. I've sat there, I've been in it, and I was in one last week at Breezy Hill Park. So thank you for that, and I just wanted to add that, because that's going to help me make a better determination, okay?
Thank you, Councilwoman.
One last thing, Mayor.
Yes.
Yeah, so just one final thing. I want to express my complete agreement with Councilwoman Holmes Thomas that I'd love to see an itemization of all the expenses. I think that would make it clear what we're spending on these bathrooms, what each different item costs. But also, I agree, they're nice bathrooms, but we're talking about a bathroom that costs twice as much as most people in Terrell's houses. And that to me is a pretty significant expenditure. And I've talked to a lot of other local developers and people who are kind of in the know, and they believe that to be a pretty exorbitant expenditure. So I definitely like to see us figure out some ways to reduce that cost and come back and take a look and see what some of those itemized costs are.
All right, Glenn, go ahead.
I'll share this to the council. I hear you, Councilman, but my position, and I want us to think about this, everybody in the city of Terrell here, with the population that we have, does not go to individuals' homes and use the restroom. And to compare the use of a community restroom with a residential restroom, we got to think about that. We have, 16,000 residents? These restrooms are used constantly. When that door opens, it's a revolving door. And the service and the maintenance on those units, you got to have durable, you got to have contractors that are willing to price the cost for the restrooms, item for item, dollar for dollar. We've been working very diligently to get cost estimates in comparison. I can't build this modular restroom for the cost they built it for. Why? Because they don't do specialty items. Some of the components they can't get. Now, can we substitute and change the items? Sure, but the lifespan and the durability will not be there. That's why prisons cost a ton of money. That's why police stations cost a ton of money. This is no different. This restroom is here to serve this community. If you drive out to Lancaster, Texas, and if you play golf, you just go across the street to the park. There's a modular restroom that has been there, I believe it's 15 years, and it looked like the day that it was installed. So let's think about that. And
Thank you for your comments, but we need to make sure we stay on our agenda, which is to discuss the Freeze and Nichols contract and not the restrooms, right? I'm sorry we got off track, but, I want to hear from the council. I want to hear from your opinions, but in the future, if it's a contract about engineering, we need to stay with that. And then let's take our ability to meet with staff at a later time and be more specific with that. But hey, good discussion. Again, this is a discuss and consider. This is Freeze and Nichols. This is a not to exceed number of, right?
Yes.
73789.
Where's that number at?
73,789.
789. Yeah, right, there we go. This is the scope of services not to exceed $73,789. And the staff recommendation is to move forward and approve this amount. Is there a motion? Yes. Item 10.1, it's the Freeze and Nichols contract for Crossroads Park Design.
Yes, Mayor, motion to approve item 10.1.
And with Freeze and Nichols in an amount not to exceed $73,789. That's the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion from Grady Simpson, District 2, a second from Mayor Ronnie Velasquez, Mayor Pro Tem District 3, to approve the contract with Freeze and Nichols in an amount not to exceed $73,789 for the Crossroads Park design. Is there any further discussion?
Mayor, I want to make a note that my support for this item will allow the way that this item is written and what is included as far as the additional designs are those include designs that the park board is on board with and includes items that the council did not have a discussion about. And when out of this design, when we have future items come to the park board and to the council, then there will be, I'll call it individualized time for those specific items where we can continue the discussion. But if we don't move forward with this item
Okay.
right now, then we won't allow for that discussion.
Correct. All right. Duly noted. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
Is that a aye or nay?
He said.
That was an aye.
Okay. For or against? I'm sorry.
It was 4.
Okay. I'm sorry. Hey, Phil, I'm having a tough night tonight for some reason. I apologize.
I've got a little
motion-
delay on my feet here. So,
Motion
pardon me.
approved with unanimous vote of those present. Our next item on the agenda is 10.2.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we bring to you tonight on first reading, ordinance number 3008, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Terrell, Kaufman County, Texas, providing for the creation of a planned development Townhouse 12 multifamily PDTH 12 MF under the provisions of Section 31A, Appendix 2, zoning ordinance of the City of Terrell on certain real property containing 2.297 acres of land, more particularly described by meets and bounds on the plat and field notes attached hereto as Exhibits A and B, and made a part hereof for all purposes, and also known as 519 Blanche Street, City of Terrell, Kaufman County, Texas, providing for the repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
All right.
And this does come to you tonight on first reading.
This is our city engineer, Chris Knapp. I think we looked at this before, so just briefly, is there any?
Yes, we've talked about this before, but I have, if you go to page 440, I have just this quick PowerPoint presentation that we'll go through. Yeah, it's the PowerPoint. Keep going. Well, there you go. So I'm just going to hit the highlights of what we've talked about before. This is a planned development. Richard Hunt, the townhouses we talked about. It's a zone change request from multifamily to a townhouse TH12. And there's the owner. Next page, please. This is where the property is located. It's shaded in red. It's 2.298 acres of land. It's currently undeveloped land at this time. This is how it's currently zoned, multifamily, and he is seeking the townhouse, as you can see the outline in the cyan of the map. The next slide is the future land use, and as you can see, the whole area is tagged as traditional neighborhood. So, we sent out 39 letters. We received 1 opposition, and the only concern and comment was it's increasing the property tax and increasing traffic. We haven't received any more.
Okay.
This property Mr. Hunt has conformed to all the city standards and is conformed to all the fire code standards, has applied to all the property. He's done several modifications. This is just one picture of what we were looking at. The one thing that was going to be added, that fence is actually going to be a wrought iron fence, and it's going to have a facade on the bottom of 60 inches on the bottom, whether it be faux rock or whatever he decides, but that's what's going to be there. Okay? So the staff recommends approval for the Townhouse 12 on this 2.298 acres. The applicant is compliant with all zoning standards other than the land acres. That's the reason for the planned development. The P&Z committee approved 6-0 vote back in August of '24. So approximately about a month and a half ago, the P&Z committee voted unanimously. So with the staff and the P&Z recommendation, we recommend for approval.
All right.
Any questions?
Does anybody have any new questions for Mr. Snap?
This is in alignment with our future land use, with it being traditional neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes, Mayor, one of my main concerns was traffic, actually. Just finding out that all traffic is entering from the back area, right, which is, what street is that?
Blanche.
Blanche Street. This is a very nice project. So I like it.
Okay. Anyone else? All right.
Yeah, I'd like to point out that it seems that this developer's really gone out of their way to kind of meet our concerns here. You know, with the traffic situation, all the concerns have been expressed by our citizens have sort of been addressed by the developer. So I think it sounds like a win.
Thank you, Councilman. Anyone?
Chris, you mentioned that the applicant is in compliant with zoning standards other than the total land acreage. What is the total land acreage for townhouses?
For the plan development was 6 acres, I believe. Is that correct, Mike?
The multifamily carries a 10-acre minimum.
Yeah, 10 acre.
Yeah.
Multifamily carries a 10 acre, and what would be the closest, maybe one of the most recent, or an existing development similar to this in the city of Terrell?
That's more of a Steve Rogers question, I bet.
My first thought would be the ventures out there at Crossroads that's currently going up.
And how much acreage do we anticipate, estimate that's?
That's definitely more than 10 acres right there.
With a lot more
Yes.
multifamily on it.
And they're multi-level, at least
One of
3
the-
levels.
3 levels, thank you. One of the reasons I supported the approval of multifamily and the increase of acreage was to assure that when we do have high density development in the community, that we had acreage to be able to accommodate safety, to be able to accommodate amenities, to be able to have, because maybe build across a little bit more than kind of going up vertically. Those are some of the reasons that I was in favor of increasing acreage about 2 to 3 years ago for any townhouse or multifamily coming into the community. And that is a concern that I've heard from community members in the general area. Well, I understand they did not attend the planning and zoning meeting, and only one returned. A concern to staff, some of the concerns that I have heard are the increased density. When the developer came forward initially, he shared that the plan was for single-family home, and that's what the neighbors were expecting. So they have heard now that there's townhouses with 2 floors that are being proposed at this time. Of course, there's a concern with, some additional traffic on Blanche Street because we only have one entrance into the proposed development. I think the developer and your staff have done a good job of trying to address any and all concerns that community members have. And I think we should have more developers that try to work with us as much as possible. And I know he has, Richard Hunt, who's in the room, has tried to really update his plans as much as he has received feedback. I'd like to see more townhouses like this in the city of Terrell. I will be voting no because of those concerns from community members, and because that's who I represent on council. Should decide to move forward, I will do my best to work with staff and the developer to assure to address any continued concerns from the community.
Thank you for those comments. Is there a motion on item 10.2, ordinance number 3008?
Yes, Mayor, motion to approve ordinance number 3008.
Motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion from Grady Simpson, District 2, a second from Phil Robinson, District 5, to approve ordinance number 3008 on first reading. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
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 Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries 3-1 vote. Next item on the agenda is 10.3.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we bring to you tonight resolution number 2103, a resolution authorizing issuance of a notice of intent that the city of Terrell, Texas intends to amend the term and city's percentage of participation in tax increment reinvestment zone number 3, city of Terrell, TERS number 3, pursuant to the Tax Increment Financing Act, Chapter 311 of the Texas Tax Code annotated, authorizing the city secretary to publish a notice of public hearing in a newspaper of general circulation in the area and providing an effective date.
All right. This is Mr. Sims.
So, Mayor and Council, first thing to know is that if you're going to change your ordinance where you created a tax increment refinance zone, you've got to do a public hearing in case anybody wants to weigh in on your change to your ordinance creating the tax increment refinance zone. We have a need to do that, and so we are proposing to call a public hearing. And you might say, well, why and what's going on? Our tax increment reinvestment zone number 3 is the one generally associated with Eastland Business Park. So that's going to be south of Spur 557, running along the future Los Lomas land area, and then all the way down to Interstate 20. In that, we have an agreement with the county for the county to participate with their county property taxes. We participate with some of our city property taxes. We put that together, and then we set up partnerships so that the private sector will build roads, water, sewer, drainage, and all that sort of good stuff. One of our participation agreement rules in our agreement with the county is that we are obliged, if we were to do something to violate our agreement. So let's say we have a future in which the city council violates its agreement with the county, then the county could choose to walk away and stop providing its county property taxes. So naturally, the developer says, well, wait a minute here, if that happens, what are you going to do? Well, remember that in our existing agreement with the county, if we violate the agreement and thereby allowing the county to walk away with their county property taxes, we actually are obligated to make up those obligations. So we have an existing obligation in our county participation agreement to make good if we violate the agreement with the county. Whew. But we never did put that in the ordinance to begin with. So as we were doing a legal review on tax increment reinvestment zone number 3, we said, you know what, we really need to go back. We need to amend the creation ordinance so that if a future city council goes crazy and decides to walk away from the agreement, break the agreement with the county, give up county property tax revenue, and we end up with this strange contingency that we lose county property tax revenue, what do? Now what we do will be embedded in the ordinance itself. So pardon me for all of that, but we're handling a legal contingency here. We described that in a little bit more detail in some of the packet information. But this step is to go ahead and call the public hearing so that we can, in the public hearing, go through this topic in, again, same level of detail, and then take action. And we're proposing for that to be on November the 7th to actually have that ordinance modification. And again, it changes our participation rate in TERS 3 if and only if we break our agreement with the county. And that's an important issue that we need to make sure that we button that up. Probably should have done it on the front end, but we didn't. And this is an opportunity for us to go back and make that correction.
Well, so this is just going to get us up to date with the agreement that we initially had with the county moving forward.
Absolutely.
So there's nothing new. There's nothing that we failed to let the council know as we were moving forward with this process. It's just that we didn't have it in our ordinance.
We put the language in the participation agreement, but we didn't put the language in the ordinance, and we're going to go back, we're going to get that fixed.
This is a legal cleanup, legal cleanup. All right. Anybody have any questions? Pretty simple. All right, thank you. Next item on the, yeah, this is discuss and consider.
This is approving.
I thought we were having a public hearing.
We're approving posting the public hearing.
Ah, okay.
We got to approve posting the public hearing.
Dang, man, I'm having a rough night up here, man. Somebody wake me up.
You got it.
I need some sugar.
Now, staff had this one done correctly, sir.
All right. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Sim? All right, is there a motion on resolution number 2103?
Motion to approve resolution.
Motion to approve resolution number 2103 as presented.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
I have a motion from Phil Robinson, District 5, remotely, and a second from Grady Simpson, District 2, to approve resolution number 2103 as presented. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous vote of those present. Our next item on the agenda is consent agenda. This is just discuss and consider city council approval of surplus items for auction. Does anybody want to discuss this, or it's good to go with the consent? Is there a motion on item 11.1?
Motion to approve consent agenda.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Have a motion from Mayor Ronnie Velasquez, Mayor Pro Tem District 3, a second from Phil Robinson, District 5, to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous vote of those present. Our next item on the agenda is adjourn in executive session in accordance with Section 551 of the Texas Government Code to discuss the following. Section 551.072, deliberations regarding real property. Section 551.087, deliberations regarding economic development negotiations. We are now in executive session. Yes? Phil, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Is there any concern with me being remote for executive session?
I don't think so. No.
Okay.
There's nobody
Good
in
deal.
there with you,
Making
is
sure.
there?
No, I'm alone.
Are we in regular? Making a joke. I like to see her joke. She gonna throw something in one of these.
Careful.
Not yet. Oh, we are, yes.
We are.
All right.
We've completed executive session, so. No, we're gonna vote coming out of it.
At this time, we will reconvene into regular session and consider action, if any, on items discussed in executive session. Is there a motion?
Yes, Mayor, motion to approve a resolution for the City Council of the City of Terrell, Texas, authorizing the city manager to negotiate and the mayor to execute agreements for a hotel event center and for the development of Sage Hill Parkway.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion from Grady Simpson, District 2, a second from Mayrani Velazquez, Mayor Pro Tem, District 3, to approve a resolution of the City Council of the City of Terrell, Texas, authorizing the city manager to negotiate and the mayor to execute agreement for Hotel Event Center and for the development of Sage Hill Parkway. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
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 Is there any opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries 3-1. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Yes. Hey, thank you, Phil.